Hey everybody, Lars here. We met yesterday, most of us anyway. I think there were a couple people missing. But this is the first time you're getting a review video. So sit back, take a watch, and you're going to see that this particular unit, Unit 1, we have 2 review videos. So basically, roughly, I'm going to cover the first half of the slides. We're just going to basically go over 3 different things. We're going to go over the interactive window and some real simple Python stuff, and I want to make sure you're comfortable with running that Hello World program. Then we're going to look at some arithmetic, some of the things we did in class, but like I said, not all of you were there in class. And we'll look at some arithmetic things, and I want to look at, integer division and modulus and things like that. And then we're going to play around with an input function, so when you run your programs, you can actually ask people for input, so that should be cool. You must forgive me, because I am exhausted. I got done at the cave this afternoon, and I shot right home, and I started putting books in boxes, and books in boxes, and books in boxes. And I did that for like 4 hours. I created like 15 different boxes of books. Some are going to the cave, some are going to my storage spot. So I did that. Then a buddy came over. Then I finally went upstairs and got a shower. Around 11:30, I said, you know what, it's summer. Got to get these Python videos done because I got to get them to my students so they have something to look at, do those homework assignments the last week of the unit, and all of a sudden all my gear starts breaking down. The Yeti mic that I'm using right here was giving me agita, and I had to play around with it and fix it and started playing around with the gain and stuff like that, and the pop filter, and then Camtasia decided to stop working. So that was about an hour ago. All right, it's 12:30 a.m. right now. Caps won. If you're a hockey person, so the Stanley Cup is tied at 2 games apiece. You're lucky. You're being spared because you're summer, and I'm an Islanders fan, so you don't have to hear about the Islanders. Anytime the playoffs start, you usually don't have to hear about the Islanders, okay? But I am also a Mets fan, so you're going to hear some major league bitching about that as the summer goes on. But I digress. We need to talk about Python. So I'm assuming that you got Python 3.6 installed on your system. If not, if you're having trouble, if it's making you crazy, come to the cave Monday through Thursday, 1 o'clock till 6 o'clock. I'm there, and it turns out that the tutor / iLab assistant watching the cave this summer is Kit, and Kit is the TA for this course. So you're going to get to know Kit over the next 3 months because she's going to be the one grading assignments, and she's going to be talking to you, and you guys are going to get along, so everything's going to be fine. Like I said, I'm going to start by just going over here and grabbing my idle 3.6 icon because I'm running on a Windows box. And I'm going to pop it open and I'm going to get started. And you might be saying, well, I haven't gotten it loaded yet. It's giving me trouble, blah, blah, blah. If it's giving you trouble and it takes you more than 15, 20 minutes, don't let yourself get crazy. That throws a lot of people off the trail when they start with computer languages. They have trouble loading it. It's 40 miles of bad road. They get frustrated and they're like, screw this. This is crap. I'm not dealing with it anymore. Don't want that to happen to you because once you get up and rolling, you're going to see computer programming is easy. There's nothing hard about it. Big myth. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fire up my Python like we did in class, and I'm going to get the interactive window. And sort of like we did in class, I'm just going to real quick assign a value to a variable. I'm going to make a equal to 7. And if you see I just pop an a there, it'll tell me 7. So I can make b equal to 8. I'm going to say equal all the time, but that is not an equal sign. That means assignment. Okay? If there's only one equal sign in Python, it means assignment. I'm assigning the value 8 to b. And then if I want, I can say c is being assigned a plus b. And then when I do c, you can see that it's 15. Now, if I want to get fancy schmancy, I can say 15.7. Dun, 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 dun. And then d, you'll say 15.7. But those other variables that I used before, they were just a single digit. So they are being saved in Python as something called integers. If we use a function called the type function, you see how the interactive window made it purple. And then I give it the variable name. I see class int, int for integer. Okay? You're going to learn what that class thing means later in the class. Right now, just know that it kind of means what type of thing things are. So I say type B, same thing. But now, if I say type D, it says float. Because if I've got a number after the decimal, it's a floating point number. Okay? So if you ever want to know what kind of type your data is, you can just do the type function on it. other computer languages, if you have some experience with maybe a Java or a C++, you have to tell the program what type you want your variable to be before you use it. That doesn't happen in Python. Python does something called dynamic typing, where you just start using it and Python makes the best guess. And usually it's correct, and usually it's right. You're going to learn later that you can have strings. I usually use W. And I will start with a single apostrophe, and I'll just do my name, Lars. And then if you do W, you can see it saves that string of characters. That's why it's called a string, because it's one character after another next to each other. Okay? And now if we wanted to do a type on that, we could see that it's class string. Okay? So, like I said, and we're going to get back to the interactive window at the end of this video, and we're going to use it for a little debugging. But right now, what I want to get to you, across to you, is that the interactive window is useful, like having a little calculator. You could do some little pieces of code with it. But what we really want to do is a program. So what we're going to do is we're going to come up here and we're going to say File, New File. When you click New File, you're going to get a blank screen, just like that. And this is where our program is going to be. What I always do is I throw in some number signs. I throw in my name. You can throw in the date too. A lot of people would throw in the date. And then I put what the purpose of it is. So I'm going to say program to play around with arithmetic. Okay? And then I'm going to come down here, and because I'm a programmer, duty tells me I have to do a hello world as my first thing for this course. So I've typed print, which is a function, and in parentheses the string hello world. You notice down here I use single apostrophes, but here I use double quotes, or quotes, single quotes. Okay? In Python, as long as you're consistent, you can use either or. The trick is that if I want a string with a single in it, use doubles. If I want a string with a double in it, use singles. Okay? You can go back and forth that way. So now, if I want to run this program and see the output here in the interactive window, I need to do two things. First thing I need to do is I need to save it. So I'm going to say save, and I'm just going to throw it in here, and I'm just going to call this, well, actually, no, you know what? I'm going to save this eventually. So, was I a good doobie and set up our directory? I'm going to Python for Data Science, and is there a summer 20, dun, 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 summer 2018, and of course, nothing's in it. We're going to call this, if I am not mistaken, revision1.py. I don't need to put the .py there because you can see save as type Python file. So I will do that, and you can see the name is right up there, rev1.py. So I've saved my program. Okay, idle's going to make you save when you use, this particular IDE, which is a pain in the rear end at first, but eventually you're going to like it because you're never going to lose your work. Coffee. I'm shot. I am 2 parts water, 1 part beer, and 1 part ibuprofen. I am just dead in the water, and I'm sitting here, and my house is empty, and it's depressing. I am breaking up with my house. I had a 19-year relationship with this house, and we are breaking up, and it is not going well. This place is falling apart. It is absolutely falling apart. Alexa, how many houses fall apart like this one has?
I don't know that.
Yeah, there's not much you do know. Pain. Alexa, tell me about the weather. Alexa, tell me about the weather.
Currently, in Metuchen, it's 62 degrees Fahrenheit with cloudy skies. Today, you can expect showers with a high of 72 degrees and a low of 62 degrees.
It's not so bad. At least it's not the 80s and the 90s like it was last week. All right, I don't want to waste any more time. We did the first thing we have to do, which is save. Now we want to run. So basically what you do to run is you come up here and you click Run Module. I know this is a pain in the butt. We're going to go a lot faster in about 2 seconds. So you click Run Module, and dun 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 dun, it says Hello World. Okay? Now, what if I want to run it again? Let's say I want to change this, and I want to say Hola Mundo, amigos, and I can say Hola Mundo, but I'm going to do something different this time, and you're going to see me do this all the time, and I don't want you to think that there's any kind of wizardry going on. See this save? I'm going to hit Control S. All right? See run? That's F5. Look down at your keyboard. See the Control S, then the F5? It kind of creates a diagonal. When you are a Python programmer, you're going to learn to, you're just going to learn to do that in your sleep. Okay? So you're going to see me just run the program, and it's going to work, and you're not going to see me click anything up here, and you're going to say, what the hell is he doing? Well, what the hell he's doing is doing Control S F5 and boom. Okay? So from here on out, you're not going to see me hitting menus and doing all of that kind of stuff. Control S F5, Control S F5. Put your thumb on the Control, index finger on the S, and then index finger stretch up to the F5. You'll be able to do it in your sleep within a couple of weeks. Trust me on that one. All right? So I did my hello world. You can see I have a program. It's called rev1.py, and it puts my output here in the interactive window. Now, the whole reason why this is important, I probably look like a crazy person. I just got out of the shower. Well, before I had to reconfigure my damn microphone. End of the day, which it should be. It's 1:45. And I'm done with this. I got to take out the garbage, walk the dog, blah, blah, blah. So I'm going to put down all my programs, and I'm going to go to bed. When I wake up the next day, I can go right back and get what I worked on, because I can start up an interactive window, and I can say File, Open, and I can say, okay, I saved that in Python Data Science, and I went to summer 2018, and I named it Rev1. And looky there, there's my code, ready for me to use again. Okay? That's the beauty of programs. Now, if you do that in the interactive window, when you kill the interactive window, all that code is gone. And you didn't save it in a file, so there's no way to get it back. When you save work in a program, it's like codifying your logic and then saving it so that you can bring it back up and use it again. Okay? All right, what I'm going to do is I am going to put a number sign there and comment that line out. So now when we run things, nothing happens. Okay? Because we're going to do something completely different. We are going to play with arithmetic. All right, I am going to create two variables in my program. I'm going to call one num1, I'll say 22, and I will call number 2, let's say 11. No, I don't want to do 11. I want to do something that's not going to divide evenly. Then I'm going to create a variable called f. Forgive me for these simple variable names. I'm going to yell and scream later how I want variable names to be descriptive. Mine are not descriptive now, just for efficiency reasons, so I can keep going. And I don't want to call it sum, because sum is a function in Python, so I can't have a variable named sum. You don't want to name your variables after the different functions. Variables, as you'll read in the slides and you see in most books, there's a simple formula how to use them. Don't start them with a number. Be careful when you use, punctuation. Definitely in Python, do not use 2 underscores next to each other, because that means something in Python that we're going to talk about later. So try to avoid that. Other than that, you can use simple words for your variables and everything's fine. I will say that my sum is num1 plus num2. Look at that. D, for my difference, is going to be num1 minus num2. All right, we're cooking with gas. P, I bet you can guess what that is. Num1 times, that's an asterisk, num2, then D. I guess, no, actually I don't want it to be D. I want it to be Q, quotient. And it'll be num1 divided by num2, and then Q2, watch me work, it's going to be num1, 1, 2, num2. What is that? We're going to see in a second. Because I'm going to print, not patini, I'm going to print, and this should be easy enough now. D, P for product, Q1 for quotient 1, Q2 for quotient 2. So now I've got those two numbers, 22 and 10, and I've done 5 arithmetic relationships, right? Plus, minus, multiplication, division, and that funky double division down there. You're going to see what that does in a second. I'm going to run my code. Dun, 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 TomZX. Because I just called it Q and not Q1. It blew up. That is a Python error. When things are going haywire, it'll give you a red, it'll give you a red error. All right, they're pretty easy to read. Right here, I got a name error. Q1 is not defined. So when I look at my code, I look for the Q1 and it wasn't there. I just called it Q. It expected Q1 because I was trying to print it. So I changed the variable name, and now I should be good to go. And I am. And as you can see, I printed S, which was the sum. 22 plus 10, 32. Great. The difference, num1 minus num2, 12. I'm still in Fat City. The product, 10 times 22 is 220. Good. Division, 2.2. Now we can see the second kind of division, num1, dum-dum. Num2, I get just the 2. It's called integer division. Okay, if you were in class the other night, actually just last night, time goes, a lot of things happen in days, and it seems like class was 2 days ago, 3 days ago for me. So, integer division, which wasn't around in 2-point star, it was a new thing for 3-point star Python, basically gives you an integer when you do your division, and it always goes to what's called the floor. It always rounds down. So you're always going to get just an integer for that. And a quick way for us to determine that is we're going to print underneath it. I'll print the type of Q1, and next to it I'll print the type of Q2. And what you're going to find out is that the type of Q1 is a floating point number because it has a decimal place. And the type of Q2 is going to be an integer because it's always integer when you use floor division. And as you can see now, we see class float and class integer. So the first one is a floating point number, and the second one is a regular integer. Okay? Now, there's two other things that we want to talk about when we talk about arithmetic operations. I'm going to create a new variable. I'm going to call it num3, and I'm going to make it equivalent to, what should I use? I'll use num1. Num1, bang, bang, 3. Okay, so what's that going to give me? Actually, I don't know what it's going to give me. I'm going to print num3. Okay, let's do it. Find out. All right, I'm going to get 10,648, and what that is exponentiation. So let's say if I did, just so it's real easy to figure out, let's say I did num2 to the second power. What is that? Num2 is 10. 10 squared is what? 100. So num3 should be 100. And it is. Okay? Basically, it makes sense because multiplication is what? It's addition on steroids, right? So, what is exponentiation? It's multiplication on steroids. So instead of one multiplication, you get two multiplications. All right? So whenever you want to, have power or exponentiation, man, drinking coffee with a beard is not, it's a dangerous activity. Whenever you want to do exponentiation, you can use star, star, and then you can go to any power you want. And later, you're going to learn that we have a math library and we have different functions you can use to do those kinds of things, okay? All right, now, there's one last thing we're going to do. I'm going to create a num4, and I'm going to actually make it equal to, what do I want to do here? Num1 percent sign num2, and then I'm going to print num4. Okay, so what's that going to give me? Well, think of the percent sign as division, but instead of getting how many times the number went in to the top number, numerator, denominator, think about the remainder. Okay, that percent sign is called modulus or modulo. And it is the worst named operator in the history of computer programming and mathematics, because what it should be called is the remainder operator. So I'm dividing 22 by 10. So what's that going to give me? 10 is going to go in there twice with a remainder of 2. So num4 is going to be assigned the value 2. I'm hoping Python will not make a liar out of me, and it doesn't. Okay? So then if I just simply came up here and I made num1 a 23 and I reran it, then I would get a 3. Okay? So those are two kind of special cases. They're actually the three special cases that I want you to see when we're dealing with arithmetic as far as Python is concerned. I want you to be aware of floor division so that you can get an integer if you want with your division, and you never have to deal with floats and you don't have to worry about that kind of stuff. I also want you to know about exponentiation, so that you can cube things and you can go to the fourth power and the fifth power and all kinds of things like that. And you might be saying, oh, that remainder thing is kind of probably just a neat trick, right? It's kind of like a boutique operator. We're not really going to do it a lot. No. You're going to be shocked how often modulus comes in handy and how often it comes into play. Just if you want to know if something divides evenly into something, go make sure the modulus is 0. If you want to get the remainder for things, you're going to be shocked. You're going to use it. I'm telling you right now, you're going to use it in 2 or 3 different assignments that you do for this particular course. So keep modulus in mind. All right? All right, good. So we got the first thing out of the way. We looked at the interactive window. We did some simple variables. We did type. We did things like that. We got the second thing out of the way. We played around with some arithmetic operators. Okay? We're going to do one last thing. We're going to learn a little bit about a thing called the input function. But before I go there, I'm going to do one thing. I'm going to teach you a little Python trick. Okay? Python is different from a lot of other languages. It's kind of weird in a way, but all people who do Python, they call themselves Pythonistas, and they think they have cool little different ways of doing things. One thing that Python people do is when we do comments, you can see up here, Idle made my comments red over here. If you want to create a big monstrous comment, 1, 2, 3, okay, and come to the end, 1, 2, 3. Everything in the middle, you can see how Idle made it green. It makes all of that code one big string. Now, I didn't assign it to anything, but it just sits there and it doesn't really hurt anything. It's almost like it just gets defined as what we would call a string literal. So because it doesn't hurt anything, a lot of Python programmers use this to comment blocks out so that you can put in text and descriptions, and you're going to see later when I solve different problems out on the internet, I'll take the whole description, bang, and I'll just slam it right in the middle of the program, so you always have it there. It's a good thing to do for comments. As you can see, the number sign here is just for single line comments. This will comment out a block. Okay? So we'll leave that up there for the time being, and I'm going to go and do my one last thing. And that one last thing I'm going to do is show you how to take input from somebody who runs your program. Let's take what we did before as an example. We looked at all of the arithmetic relations between the numbers 23 and 10. Okay? Wonderful. We did integer division, we did modulus and all that neat stuff. But that program gets pretty boring pretty fast because we're only doing 23 and 10. What if I want to create a situation where if I want to do something, I ask the user for the number when the program runs? Because most users, they're not like us. They're not going to be programmers. They don't open up a program and go in and start fixing different lines in the program. They want to do things when the program runs. So what we're going to do is we're going to find a way to take a number from the user when we do it. And it's real easy. We're going to use a function called input. We've used the print function, word print, and then prints, boom, what we want to print out. This time we're going to use input, and this is the way we're going to do it. I am going to create a variable called num5, and I'm going to assign it the value of input. You can see Idle made it purple, and then I'm going to do a prompt. I'm going to say enter a number. Okay, and actually I'm going to do a little space because it'll space things out. I'm going to do a little colon too. Is my OCD showing through? No, maybe. Then I'm going to print num5. All right, so what's going to happen is num5 is going to say assign me the value of input, enter a number. When the input function runs, it's going to print enter a number to the screen. I'm going to enter a number and hit enter. When I hit enter, the number that I entered is going to be placed in the variable num5, and then I'm going to print it. If the programming gods are with us. Let's go take a look. Oh, enter a number. I will enter 24. And as you can see, it prints 24. All right, we're in pretty good shape. With just 2 lines, we asked the user for a number and gave it. So that's pretty neat. So let's do something different. Let's say I want to create a variable. I'll call it squoo, S-Q-U, and squoo is equal to num5 squared. Okay? And then I'm going to print, and I'm going to show you a little trick with the print statement. You can give it a literal, so I can say, okay, what happened there? Please let undo go back and get me my thingies. Thank you. Print the square of comma num5 is squoo. Now, as you can see, if I want the words to show up, I put them in quotes. And if I just want to print the variable, I leave the variable out in the open. So the square of num5, which will be, I don't know, I'll give it 5, is, and then squoo should be 25 because I squared 5, okay? So, when we run this, everything should be fine, yes? Hey, yes? It's not going to be fine, it's going to blow up. But when it blows up, we will learn why. All right, well, let's run the thing. Oh, enter a number. Enter a number. Maybe it'll work. I give it a 5, okay? So the square should be 25, and it should print out the square of 5 is 25. Dum-da-dum-dum-dum. There is one of those bad old compile errors again. Well, we're not really compiling, but that gets into the weeds. For another time, for another time. That is a Python error. And when I look at it and I try to read it, first of all, don't think you have to read these things. By the end of the course, you'll be able to look at that and you'll be happy with it. But if you look at this, you're going to learn to get a couple of different clues. You're going to see line 31, so you're going to go, oh, okay, I know what line to go to. You can see here, if you go back to your code and you put the cursor on a particular line, you could see it down there in idle. So let's say I go here, there's line 31. Oh, so things are blowing up in line 31. That's a little bit helpful. And it shows me the line right there, so that's a fait accompli. I know that now. And then it says type error. Unsupported operand for the power operator, and then it says string and int, huh? I mean, that should give me a little bit of a clue. Now, remember at the beginning of this video, when I told you we were going to use the interactive window to do a little debugging? So that's what we're going to do. So, this little piece of code blew up here. So let's go see what num5 and squoo are. So, I say num5, and it says 5. Well, that's what I put in. So I'm in pretty good shape there. Let's ask what squoo is. It doesn't know what squoo is. It says squoo is not defined. Okay? So, something went haywire before the assignment because there is no squoo. So something actually went haywire in here. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, I took 5 and I used an exponentiation operator and blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden I think to myself, wait a minute. And I look over here in the interactive window. Now I'm hoping, through the magic of Camtasia, that I have zoomed in on this particular number. I'm guessing that I have. And if you look here, you'll see, hey, wait a minute. That number is surrounded by quotes. That means maybe I don't have a number, maybe I have a string. And if I come out here and I do type num5, I see class string, and that answers my question. When I use input, it thinks it's getting a word. Like when I did Lars before in the beginning, it thinks it's getting a string of characters and not necessarily a number. I'm doing arithmetic down here, so I have to make sure I have a number. Now, we can fix this. As a matter of fact, we can fix it very easily by doing a process we call in computer programming casting. I want to take a data type. Remember, we learned a little bit about integers. We learned about floating point, okay, numbers after the decimal. We learned about strings. Well, if I want to take one data type and switch it to another, I can do that. Usually there's a conversion. If I take 5.2, float, and I convert it to an integer, I'll get 5. If I take the string 23 and I convert it to an integer, I'll get the number 23. There are reasonable ways to cast. Now, if I try to cast the word Aloysius into an integer, I'm going to run into trouble. Okay, that's a little crazy. Actually, it'll convert into something, but we're not going to get into those weeds. So what I want to do, when I type in that 5, I want to make sure Python knows to take it as an integer. Okay? And the way I do that, the way I cast, is with functions. There's a function to make things an integer that's int. There's a function to make things a float that's float. The one for a string is str. So what I'm going to do, watch this, is I'm going to say int, and you can see idle made it purple, and I'm going to wrap this entire input statement in parentheses. So what's going to happen, and you can see idle will balance my parentheses for me. I'm going to run that input. I'm going to say enter a number. I'm going to enter a 5. That 5 will be a string because the return value for input is a string. But that will be the input to the integer or the int function, which will take that string and make it an integer. So the integer 5 will be assigned to the value num5. Then when I come down here and I raise it to the second power, everything will be fine because I'm dealing with a number and not a string anymore. So now that I've taken that and casted it to an integer, I think the programming gods are going to be with me. The square of num5 should be 5 is 25. Let's see what we get. Oh, the tension is killing me. Let's put in a 5. And you can see everything works. The square of 5 is 25. So remember, when you're dealing with your different data types, your integers, your floating points, your strings, you've got to remember that arithmetic operations want numbers. They want integers and they want floating point numbers and not necessarily strings. Okay? So that's pretty much it for the first half of the slides, and it's pretty much all we're going to go through right now. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to remove that. I'm going to remove that. I'm going to remove that. And we are going to run all of the code that we did in this video, and that is called the grand finale. So when we run the grand, it's going to be a pretty crummy grand finale. Enter a number. I'll do 5. And, oh, I accidentally hit something wrong. I won't do it again. Okay, so there's your grand finale. As you can see, we printed hello world, and I'll leave it hola mundo. And then we assigned integer values to some variables, and we use those variables with arithmetic operations, assigned them to new names, and then printed those names, found out the types of our different quotients, because one was an integer, floor division, and one was a regular floating point number. Then we took a look at exponentiation. We took a look at modulus. Remember, it's the remainder. It's terribly named. And then we came down here, we look at the input. So now when you run your program, you can take input from the user, and remember, you're going to want to use numbers when you do arithmetic. Sometimes you just want to, hey, enter your name, Fred, Lars, Joe, Jane, and blah, blah, blah. You want to put that in the variable. That's fine. That's what input's going to do. Input returns a string. But when you want to do arithmetic, you're going to want to take that string and turn it into a number. Okay? All right, good, good, good. Then I am going to leave it at this. I would usually sit here right now and do 10 minutes of announcements, but I'm not going to do that to you. Plus, it's late. It's 1 o'clock already, and I have to get you in sleep. I am going to tell you that I am going to do my level best to get you the second review video probably today, because you're not looking at this till Thursday. Hopefully later tonight, I'll just do videos 2 days in a row, or I'll do it from the cave tomorrow afternoon. Worst case scenario, Friday. Like I say, I always want to get you all of your resources and your assignments with a week left to go in the unit. So you have your slides, you have your Zell readings, you have this first video. Now you need to get a second video and the assignments. Okay? So the assignments I'll release the assignments probably Friday or Saturday. All right? And like I said, first unit, no great shakes. The only issue here is it's summertime. So instead of the usual, 14 days, you're only getting 10 or 11. All right? So it's going to be a little quick pace-wise at first. But once you get the gist and once you get to know what's going on, you're going to be in great shape and you're going to have no worries. And like I said, if you have questions, use the forums. Send me email, biglars@ces.rutgers.edu. All right? I'm going to save all of my announcement stuff for the second video because I'm not doing 10 minutes of announcements and then doing it again tomorrow. But usually, and I have my little notes here, usually I'm going to go through the whole thing. Hey, make sure you read. Make sure that you do things in the proper sequence because this is a paint job. At first you read and you're the learner. Then you do the assignments. You're the practitioner. Okay. Then the third part is when you're the expert. You report out during the quiz and you're answering questions. So there's different phases that you go through as you're learning these things. And I want you to go through those phases because that's how we learn. And if you do it all the night before, it's just going to be crappy and you're going to be miserable and you're not going to want to do it that way. And then if you were in class yesterday, you got the whole it's stupid to cheat thing. So I'll go through that again. Blah, blah, blah. One thing that I will go through before I leave us tonight is tell you a little bit about the background with these videos. I do two things that my colleagues in computer science, actually my colleagues at the Graduate School of Education as well, tell me I'm nuts about. The first one is that I shoot these videos fresh for every class. You're going to see when you go to YouTube all of my videos sitting there and you're going to go, oh, I can look at Unit 2 from last year. I can look at, believe me, I know that, okay? I don't mind if some people who have a little programming experience think this is babyish stuff and they want to get ahead a little bit. That's fine. You can go watch some videos from the previous years. But no, you're still going to be responsible for watching this year's videos. And believe me, they all have little differences and little nuances are different. The reason I shoot them fresh is because every class is different. And every class has different issues and different things going on. I'll learn your names. I'll learn all the people in the class, and we could talk about different things that people have done. So I don't like canned videos. Hi, this is Python. This is blah, blah, blah. It doesn't make sense to me. Plus, I'm just too much of a blabbermouth to do a canned video because I'm going to talk about the stupid Islanders. I'm going to talk about the loser Mets. I'm going to talk about all the nonsense that I go through. And that's always timely. It always has to do. Like this summer, you're going to hear about me moving my stupid house. And you're going to hear about all the different stuff that I'm doing. So it's always going to be different. So I've always thought it doesn't make sense not to shoot the videos fresh. Plus, it's a hybrid. It's not like I'm teaching it 3 times a week, right? So this is kind of like me teaching class. So I don't mind it. I think it's cool. I think it's decent. Second thing I get yelled at a lot. I get yelled at about a lot of things. Alexa, moving out of this house is making me sad. How do I get happy again?
I don't know that one.
God forbid you know the answer to that one. It'd be nice if you did. People will tell you, and I'm not saying it's wrong, but people will tell you that you need videos to be short. 5 minutes, 4 minutes, 7 minutes, blah, 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 just topic by topic. So tonight's video would have been 3 different little 7-minute videos. This is the interactive window. And then there'd be another video. This is arithmetic operations. Do this. And then it's done. It's you know what? I don't want to do that. I think you're smart enough to know that this particular, as an example, this video, it naturally breaks down into 3 different areas and 3 different topics that we looked at. All right? You're not a dope. And then after you get those 3 things, you learn about it. Then, if you were confused about one, you can go to the beginning of that section and watch that section again. Okay? So you can figure these things out for yourself. I've never understood why you have to do these little, make it like a show, and just talk to people, for God's sakes. All right, enough. Off my soapbox. All right, I will get going. You have your first video. You've watched it now. Hopefully it's clear. Hopefully everything's going. Hopefully now you're geeked and you're like, this is going to be easy. I'm going to get this done. And you will. Trust me. There's no reason to have any trepidation. We're going to work through this stuff. If you do the assignments, if you read the slides, if you read the Zell, you're going to be fine. And you're going to learn this stuff. And at the end, you're going to be like, oh my God, I didn't think it could be like this. All right? Trust me. Trust me. All right, then I'm going to get out of here. But I'm going to be seeing you tomorrow night, worst case Friday afternoon. So I'll get you your videos and everything's going to be all right, okay? All right, good. Then you be good, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye.